After crocheting all parts of the bunny, we will now sew them together. First, let's attach the head to the body. I choose to use the reserved yarn tail from the head for sewing, so tuck the yarn tail from the body into the piece. Both the head and the body have 12 stitches in their final round, so we can sew them stitch by stitch. Place the slip stitch join at the back and use the whip stitch method to sew. Insert the sewing needle through the entire first stitch of the body. Then bring it out through the first stitch on the head. Next, insert the needle into the next stitch of the body, then bring it out through the corresponding next stitch of the head. Gently tighten the thread, aligning each body stitch to a head stitch one by one until the end. When you reach the end of the stitching, sew a few times to secure. Hide the yarn tail within the fabric, being careful not to pull too tightly. Weave along the texture a few times before trimming. Head and body are now joined. Next, let's attach the arms. Sew the arms onto both sides of the body. Fold the arm piece in half. And determine the placement approximately here. First, secure both ends. Then sew the middle part. Stitch back and forth a few times. There's no strict method required here as long as the arm stays firmly in place. Finally, hide the yarn tail inside the body by weaving it in a few times before cutting off the excess. Repeat the same steps for the other arm. Next, attach the bunny's tail. Sew it onto the fifth round of the body. Insert your needle at the exact center back of the body. Then stitch through the last round of the tail to secure it. Simply secure them in place using basic sewing methods. Finally, weave in the yarn ends and trim. This is how it looks after sewing the tail on. Now, let's attach the bunny's leg to this part of the body. Fold the last row of the leg in half to sew. Position the slip stitch seam at the back. First, mark the attachment points where the feet will be sewn. There's no specific stitching technique required. Simply secure them in place using basic sewing methods. Stitch back and forth a few times. Finally, weave in the yarn ends and trim. Repeat the same steps for the other leg. Let's check the stitching effect. There's a 4-stitch gap between the two legs, and they are sewn symmetrically. You can also adjust the stitching position based on your preference. Next, attach the bunny ears. The ears should be sewn onto the 4th round of the head, with each ear occupying 3 stitches and positioned symmetrically. First, fold the earpiece in half like this. Secure the folded ear with a few stitches to shape it. Then locate the 4th round on the head where the ears will be attached. Use pins to temporarily fix the ears and check the placement. Repeat the same method for the other ear, aligning it symmetrically on the 4th round. Once the positioning looks good, use a whip stitch to permanently attach the ears to the head. Finally, weave in the yarn ends and trim off excess. Repeat the entire process to attach the second ear. Next, let's embroider the bunny's mouth. Take about 20 centimeters of black yarn and thread it through a sewing needle. Tie a knot at one end of the yarn to prevent slipping. Insert the needle from any side of the bunny's head, then bring it out through the middle of the round beneath the eyes. Hide the knot inside the piece. Create a horizontal stitch across, passing the needle through the bottom round of stitches as shown. Then insert the needle into the exact center of the top round. Hide the yarn tail inside the piece by weaving it in a few times. Trim the yarn. Finally, use the needle tip to gently adjust the mouth shape for a natural look. Finally, let's apply blush to our bunny. Start by applying blush to the ears. Take the blush powder from your kit. Using a blush brush, if available, will give better color application. I'll show you the finger application method here. Dip your ring finger in the blush powder using a circular motion to pick up the product evenly. Then gently tap the color onto the ears. Remember to build up the color gradually by applying multiple light layers until you achieve your desired intensity. Build up the color gradually instead of applying too much at once to avoid oversaturation, as heavy application may be difficult to adjust later. Use the same technique for the cheeks. Apply with gentle tapping motions and layer the color slowly for a natural look. Now the main body of our bunny is complete.